For Al Roker, the glow of the studio lights has always carried a sense of purpose, a familiar warmth that signaled not just another broadcast, but another opportunity to connect, to inform, to be a steady presence in the lives of people he would never meet. Yet, as the years unfolded and technology began to reshape the landscape of communication in ways both remarkable and unsettling, he found himself quietly reflecting on what it truly meant to maintain that connection in a world increasingly mediated by screens, algorithms, and fleeting attention spans, a question that did not arrive all at once, but rather settled in gradually, like a change in the weather you feel before you fully see it. And it was in the quiet of his home, alongside his wife, Deborah Roberts, that these reflections began to take shape in more meaningful ways. There was an evening, after a long day that had included not only his usual on-air responsibilities, but also a series of digital appearances, short clips for social media, quick updates tailored for mobile audiences, interactions measured in likes and shares, when Al sat down in the living room and admitted, almost to himself as much as to Deborah, that something felt different, not necessarily worse, but undeniably changed. Because while the reach of his work had expanded beyond anything he could have imagined early in his career, the depth of connection sometimes felt thinner, more fleeting, as though the space for genuine human exchange had been compressed into moments too brief to fully hold it. Deborah listened with the quiet attentiveness that had long been a cornerstone of their relationship, understanding from her own experiences in journalism that the evolution of technology brings both opportunity and loss, and she gently reminded him of something he had always known, but perhaps needed to hear again, that connection is not defined by the medium through which it travels, but by the intention and authenticity behind it. A perspective that did not dismiss his concerns, but reframed them, offering a way forward that honored both the past and the present. As the days turned into weeks, Al began to approach his work with a renewed sense of awareness, recognizing that while he could not control the pace at which technology advanced, he could choose how he engaged with it, how he showed up within it, and he started to focus less on the volume of interactions and more on their quality, taking an extra moment during broadcasts to speak not just to the camera, but to the people behind it, allowing his natural warmth and sincerity to come through even in the briefest segments. And he found that these small shifts made a difference, not always measurable in metrics, but evident in the messages he received from viewers who felt, in those moments, that they were being spoken to rather than broadcast at. At home, these changes were mirrored in the way he and Deborah navigated their own lives, becoming more intentional about setting aside the distractions of devices and carving out time for conversations that unfolded at their own pace, unhurried and uninterrupted, moments that served as a reminder of the kind of connection that first drew them to their respective careers, a connection rooted not in immediacy, but in presence. And it was within these shared experiences that Al began to see that longevity in a career shaped by constant change requires not just adaptation, but discernment, the ability to embrace new tools without losing sight of the values that give the work its meaning. There were still moments of uncertainty, of course, moments when the rapid evolution of media felt overwhelming, when the pressure to keep up with new platforms and expectations threatened to overshadow the deeper purpose of his work. But these moments were tempered by a growing confidence in the foundation he had built over decades, a foundation grounded in trust, authenticity, and a genuine desire to serve his audience, qualities that no technology could replace. And Deborah, ever his partner in perspective, reminded him that while the methods of communication may change, the human need for connection remains constant, a truth that offered both reassurance and direction. As he continued to navigate this evolving landscape, Al found himself embracing a more balanced approach, one that allowed him to engage with new technologies while also preserving the elements of his work that had always mattered most. And in doing so, he discovered that the challenge was not to resist change, but to integrate it in a way that enhanced rather than diminished the human connection at the heart of his career. For those who have spent decades witnessing the world transform in ways both subtle and profound, his journey resonates as a reflection of their own experiences, a reminder that while the tools we use to communicate may evolve, the essence of what we seek, to be seen, to be heard, to feel connected, remains unchanged, and that sustaining a meaningful career over time is not about holding on to the past or chasing every new trend, but about finding a path that honors both, guided by the steady presence of those who know us best. And so, as Al Roker continues to step into the ever-changing world of modern media, he does so with a quiet confidence that comes not from mastering every new technology, but from understanding that the most important connection he can offer is not defined by the platform, but by the sincerity with which he reaches out. A lesson shaped and strengthened by the enduring partnership he shares with Deborah Roberts, where, in the simple act of being fully present with one another, they reaffirm the timeless truth that even in a rapidly changing world, the human connection, when nurtured with care and intention, remains as powerful as ever.